sir. Good morning,
Please
ma'am.
take your seat, Vishnu.
Thank you, sir.
So welcome, Vishnu,
Thank
to
you,
the
sir.
mock interview.
Thank you, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Good. You are from Kerala originally and settled in Gujarat?
Yes, sir.
I see. Valsad.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. And you have opted only 5 services.
Yes, sir.
What is the reason why you have not opted other services?
Sir, currently, based on the 2022 results, I have been allocated to the Danik service. So I'm undergoing training. So I currently like this job also, sir. So that's why I thought.
You are on leave or you are
Sir, I'm undergoing training, sir.
undergoing training?
Yes, sir.
So you can't take leave for the preparation of the interview?
Sir, I wanted to have some on-field experience while working, so I thought it would be manageable for me to do the both. So that's
Both?
why I did not take the leave this time, sir.
Oh, okay, no issue. And political science is your optional.
Yes, sir.
You have done BA from Delhi University,
Yes, sir.
and Indian Foreign Service is the first choice.
Yes, sir.
Why Indian Foreign Service?
Since in my class 8th or class 9th, I had always been interested in reading newspapers, and it was the foreign policy and the foreign affairs which interested me the most. And I really felt it as an honor if I would get an opportunity to represent India at the high tables, standing in front of the Indian flag and representing India at various summits and advancing the national interest ahead. So that was the primary reason why I had interest in the foreign policies.
What comes to your mind when I say Chanakyapuri?
So the diplomatic enclave of different, the embassies of different countries come to my mind, and also so the great strategic thinker Chanakya, who wrote the Arthashastra.
So, what the Indian Foreign Service officials they do when they are posted outside India?
So mainly they try to liaison with the government of that area wherever they are posted in order to ensure that there is communication lines open between the government of India and the government of that country. So they are also act as an observers reporting to India whatever political events that are happening in that particular country, which might interest India. So they also engage with the Indian diaspora over there in those particular regions to ensure that we are still connected to our diasporic roots.
That's all.
And they also negotiate some critical agreements, trade agreements and all with the foreign countries to ensure that we have a good economic relations with the other country.
But tell us how actually the policies are framed in government.
Sir, as per my limited knowledge, there would be a committee which would be set up by the government, expert committees which would try to put in their inputs. At the same time, sir, after a rough draft is being prepared, the government sends it out in the public domain, inviting suggestions from the public inputs so that they can also ensure participatory policy making. And also, sir, sometimes the government also engages think tanks and other academic specialists in order to get their inputs, which might be of critical importance. And then after that, sir, after a thorough deliberations, and so we also, being a parliamentary democracy, we ensure that such policies are tabled in the parliament, discussed thoroughly with the representatives. And after we arrive at a consensus with the stakeholders, arrive at a agreement with the stakeholders, then that policy is being finalized and put out in the public domain.
At the time when they are discussed in parliament,
yes, sir.
At that time stakeholders are involved?
Sir, in the parliamentary committees, the committees have power to invite various stakeholders from outside, specialists to solicit their inputs.
But a particular bill may not be sent to a committee.
Yes, sir.
Not necessary.
Yes, sir. That is true, sir.
What happens in that situation? Then where the stakeholders will come into play?
Sir, the government can then directly approach the think tanks or various civil society organizations and the universities from where they can get their inputs apart from the
Okay, tell us one policy where all this process was done in formulation of the policy. One example.
Sir, I'm remembering the EIA, the Environmental Impact Assessment 2020, whereby it was put out in the public domain also to solicit the viewpoints of the public. And there are also been various academicians who had contributed to the same, voicing out their opinions. So currently, I'm able to think of this policy.
Good. Tell us two very good schemes of the government which are continuing for the last several years, and in spite of change in the government, the policies are continuing.
So the first one would be the the Food Security Mission,
Food Security Mission.
Food Security Act 2013, which has been continuing, ensuring food security to a large chunk of our population. So, second one, may I just take a
Yeah.
moment? Thank you, sir. So the policies on e-governance, which have been started in 2012, 11 or 12, started by the earlier governments. Though there are some changes in the policy, but the broad idea of making the policy governance simpler has been undertaken by the governments, irrespective of who the government at the union level.
Good, you are not mentioning the most important ones, the MG Narega,
Yes, sorry, sir.
the midday meal. I mean,
Midday
these are
meal.
known actually.
Yes, sir.
And without any issue, they are continuing
Yes,
in all
sir.
the government.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank
Sorry,
you.
sir.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, Vishnu,
Yes, sir.
very interesting hobbies that you have or extracurricular activities. Published several articles through think tanks.
Yes, sir.
Which articles?
Sir, I wrote articles. So as a part of my internship with think tanks, I got an opportunity to write the weekly watch of the regions. And so secondly, I
Which
also...
think tank?
Sir, I worked in the Raisina House. It's a non-profit.
Raisina House?
Yes, sir. And then Kalinga Institute of Indo-Pacific Studies. So I got an opportunity to work for both of these, sir.
Who was your for the Raisina House? You are referring to ORF.
No, sir, not ORF. It's
That's the Raisina.
Yes.
Raisina House. Okay, and Kalinga, who was it?
Sir, Professor Dr. Chintamani Mahapatra, sir.
Chintamani Mahapatra. Okay. So which other articles you wrote?
Sir, I wrote an article on COVID-19 and the era of globalization, how COVID-19 has affected globalization. So then I also wrote about how the West is bolstering China by imposing unilateral sanctions on other countries, Iran and all, how it is trying to alienate, how it is trying to strengthen the Chinese axis in the world order.
The West, when you said West, you took generally West or the specific country?
So the United States.
United States.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then as a part of my weekly watch, I wrote article, the weekly monitors
Good.
of Central Asia.
Now let me
Central Asia.
let me now follow up on your thesis about USA and China.
Yes, sir.
Do you seriously think that USA is trying to actually pop up China, bolster Chinese leverages in the world globally?
Sir, they are not directly trying, but in their attempts to isolate China or trying to impose their unilateral sanctions, what they are doing is they are alienating the other countries of the world from their ideologies, from their ideas, and as a result, they are turning towards the other side, the Chinese side, even if they are not willing, sir, because they don't have any other options. They have to go to the Chinese for development.
Which countries are you referring to here, or the sanctions?
Sir, the Iran has been very much cozying up to China. We have a 25-year strategic partnership signed with China.
Okay.
Because of the
Iran.
Yes, sir. So secondly, sir, Myanmar. Bangladesh is also now cozying up to China because America is very critical on Bangladesh's human rights ideas. Then, sir, Russia, in fact, is a very prime example because Russian economy has now been very much interlinked with China.
But, Vishnu, most of these countries were cozying up to China even before the American sanctions came.
Yes, sir.
Myanmar had been close to China earlier. So what role has the American sanctions played in this?
Sir, because they don't have any other option of diversification left because of these sanctions. Because when America imposes sanctions, it expects that its allies
My
also.
question is very straightforward.
Yes, sir.
Since these countries were getting closer to China for various other reasons.
Yes, sir.
So why blame US sanctions for this?
Sir, it has been a reason to intensify the pace at which these countries have been cozying up to China.
Is that what Dr. Mahapatra recommended to you?
No, sir. This was my own observations, which I.
What did Dr. Mahapatra say to this observation?
So this was published in the Raisina House.
Rajanam. So Dr. Mahapatra didn't comment on it.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Then, if USA actions are actually propping up China, why isn't India actually working on this? Why isn't India advising USA against this?
Sir, recently when Prime Minister, when the foreign secretaries met, India had told about the Bangladesh issue to United States, that United States must not impose such unilateral sanctions or comment on the internal issues within Bangladesh. So I think, sir, India has been taking up the issue, but then India has currently started focusing on the neighborhood first, and then I believe India will talk about such measures again.
Okay, in that sense, when we are actually trying to sort our relation with China,
Yes.
do you think that we try to go softer on Maldives rather than criticizing and making it a public campaign about Maldives on the issue of comments on Prime Minister?
Sir, sir, relations with one country should not be seen hyphenated with another country, sir. Because, sir, what the Maldives issue was, it was a very derogatory remark that was made on the constitutional post of India. And even after the furor, sir, the Maldivian government has not publicly apologized, though they have suspended the three officials.
But then we are pushing an important maritime neighbor
Yes, sir.
to China, thus actually endangeering our own security.
Sir, we must, sir, at the same time, though it might appear that we are pushing to Maldives to China, but at the same time, sir, we must also make sure that our prestige and our image abroad is kept up high so that no country takes us for granted, sir. Because Maldives has been playing the anti-India card since in its election in the domestic politics itself. So if we send a stern message across that India should not be taken granted, then I think such instances would be reduced and
Okay, one last question about China.
yes, sir.
Uh, what action do we need to take in respect of our own border issue, particularly since China doesn't seem to care for our own security needs?
Sir, we should ramp up the infrastructure along the border areas so that we create a deterrence. And sir, our policy should be more preemptive because when during the LAC standoff, we had occupied the Kailash Heights, which was a surprise move for the Chinese because they were planning to come up first. So having such
But why didn't we evacuate it? Having occupied Kailash High and then to evacuate it, leave it during negotiations, that was a bad thing, isn't it?
so, but that shows our respect for the agreements that we had signed with the Chinese and our respect for the rule of law that we had been espousing, sir.
All right. One last word. ताली दोनों हाथों से बजती है. You have
Yes,
heard.
sir. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Poonam ji?
Thank you, sir. Vishnu,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
were just discussing with Ambassador and you said that, the neighborhood, you mentioned some of the neighborhood countries posing up to China.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, Sri Lanka is one example which did cozy up to.
Yes,
The ports
Yes,
and other benefits. Which way did they go? What happened?
Ma'am, they faced a very tragic issue in the country. They are under the economic crisis. They are under the balance of payment crisis. And the debt trap diplomacy which China has played has really impacted. And now,
So, India had to come to their aid?
Yes,
The World Bank had to come to their aid?
yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you think also, my personal observation, that India has been losing some of the shine as being the big brother in the neighborhood? So, in any case, if we have to give them economic aid, why don't we do it?
Sorry, ma'am, I did not
In the
understand
neighborhood,
the
to
question.
maintain our big brother image.
Yes, ma'am.
My observation is India has been losing some of the shine on that, which we were undisputed. You mentioned Maldives.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so we are losing that.
Yes,
Yes. Should India give a lot of aid to its neighborhood? We have been looking east, we've been thinking east, we've been talking east.
Yes.
And does the neighborhood feel alienated?
Ma'am, I think the economic aid should be given to the neighborhood, but again, that should be calculated and efficient one, because given when we compare the economic aid with that of China, it is said that we are contributing low. But then, ma'am, we also have
We are
to.
aspiring to be the 5 trillion economy. We're aspiring to be the, overtaking China.
Yes, ma'am. So it would.
Diplomacy, I'm
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
of.
But again, ma'am, Chinese have a $20 trillion economy in PPP terms, while we are nearing the $5 trillion, currently $3.57 trillion. So that resource-based differentials would be there,
Will
ma'am,
always
which
remain.
would.
All right. Is Pakistan heading the Sri Lanka way?
Ma'am, currently, yes, the economic crisis in Pakistan, they're very severe. They are also facing high inflation and a high BOP
So, how
issue.
does that impact our security?
Ma'am, a politically unstable Pakistan would be a hotbed for terror or proxies and terror groups to operate over there. And it would also be difficult for us to negotiate or to talk to, because if there are multiple centers of power coming up in a decentralized or destabilized Pakistan, then it would be an issue for us to negotiate. And also, ma'am, given the proximity to Golden Crescent, the opium tradings and opium smuggling into Jammu Kashmir would also be high, and it would also lead to increased
The
fidine
parallel
attacks.
economy also,
Yes,
besides
ma'am.
everything else. All right. You mentioned a couple of times think tank.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the question was asked about its role in parliament.
Yes, ma'am.
What are opinion leaders?
Sorry, ma'am.
What are opinion leaders?
Sorry, ma'am.
And they do have a role in parliament, or do they not have a role in parliament?
Ma'am, sorry, I'm not.
What are opinion leaders?
I'm not-
Economic student you are.
Sorry, ma'am. I've heard the term for the first time. Opinion leaders.
I write an article, I write an edit in the newspaper, I come on the panel in the evening, I do air some views and opinions.
Yes,
So, what I do is generate a view.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so those are opinion leaders.
Yes, ma'am.
That's exactly what the think tank does.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
do read on that. Anyway,
Sure.
we'll come to some 1st of February. What are we looking forward to?
The budget, ma'am.
Yes, so what kind of a budget are we anticipating?
Ma'am, as per the budget that we're anticipating this time would be a mix of both a welfare-oriented as well as a heavy expenditure focusing on the capital.
In the election year,
Yes, ma'am.
we will do it.
Yes, ma'am, because welfare orientation would.
Welfare orientation, I can understand. A heavy budget on expenditure. Heavy expenditure.
Yes, ma'am. I think the government wants to go with the momentum of capital expenditure ahead to induce a multiplier effect on the economy.
To build the Central Vista.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in favor of that?
Ma'am, I think we should have the Central Vista project, because the Delhi architecture which has been built, it has been since a long time. The capacity has also increased, and we also must ensure that these buildings are disaster resilient as well.
Only capacity building?
And also, ma'am.
There are other urgent areas where we need funds,
Yes,
health, education, nutrition, sanitation. So we put everything aside for concrete buildings?
No, ma'am. These are also a symbol of prestige and a symbol of the country as well. At the same time,
Where
ma'am,
have you? I would say that this is demolition of history. Nowhere in the world have I seen this. There is only one country which has built a new capital now, or building and shifting. What do you think? What do you say, not think?
ma'am, I think given that India is aspiring as a global power, and it has been beginning its idea of a decolonization drive, I think building of a new. We are not.
So you
shifting
support it. All right.
Yes,
My last question is on Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of economics has he propagated?
Ma'am, he has given the idea for welfare, social egalitarian welfare
Yes.
economics, ma'am.
And social changes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you think that the disparity between the haves and the have-nots is deepening and widening in India?
Yes, ma'am. The disparity.
Examples, top 2 examples.
Ma'am, the Oxfam report has indicated the same. I'm not exactly aware of the statistics, ma'am, but it has indicated that there's a huge disparity.
Is that a healthy thing? You
No,
are tasked with kind of working in that area. What would you do? My last question.
ma'am, in order to reduce the economic inequality, I would try to tax the rich in order to have a resource distribution.
And how many people are taxed? What is the percentile of taxing? It's the you and I.
Yes, ma'am.
the service class.
Yes,
Everything else is without tax. So
Yes.
are you expecting more taxation in this budget?
Um,
I would expect more, the range to increase for exemption.
yes, ma'am. To the middle class voters, the government would.
So would you recommend more taxation?
Ma'am, in the corporate sector, yes, in the high net individuals, luxury tax, where it is not having a big impact on their income, I would try to tax that to generate the resources. And at the same time, ma'am, my expenditure would increase.
Anyway, this is a very long debate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
What about the
Okay.
business industry?
Yes, ma'am, they should be taxed.
Very much.
Vishnu,
Yes, sir.
you are from Gujarat,
Yes, sir.
and this is one state other than Bihar where this total prohibition is
Yes.
operational, except for this gift city. Am
Yes.
I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you think that it has done good to the Gujarat? Is it a good thing to go for prohibition, or it is just a gimmick, political gimmick?
So, though there are instances of bootlegging and illegal supply of liquor happening in Gujarat, so one very primary reason why the security and stability and law and order within the state is secure is because of the prohibition policy of the government. And also, sir, I think the economic benefits that the Gujarat economy has derived out of this far outstrips the revenue that the state might have earned if it was having liquor policy. So, I think.
How does it help the lowest strata of the society?
So, when we look at the lowest strata of society, they have a very small amount of income and a very huge percentage of, given that liquor prices after taxation are quite high, a huge chunk of their income goes into the liquor purchase, which will reduce their social well-being.
Huge chunk. Have you done a survey or studied a survey?
Sir, in one of the NCRT books, there was a case study in Andhra
NCRT book.
Pradesh.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's go to your home state, Kerala.
Yes.
Our Lakshadweep Islands are in news,
Yes, sir.
and it has something to do with what is happening in Maldives.
Yes, sir.
What is the reaction and what is the cause and reaction?
So the cause was recently our Honorable Prime Minister went to Lakshadweep and inaugurated a slew of projects having a submarine optical fiber network
Come to
cable.
the point.
Lakshadweep.
Don't go in descriptions, which is not part of the question.
Okay, sir.
You are not here to educate me.
Yeah, okay, sir. Now there was idea that Lakshadweep could be replace Maldives as the tourist destination. So this was not very much liked by the Maldivian government. There were 3 officials from the Maldivian government who commented derogatory about the Honorable Prime Minister.
Okay.
So there was a public reaction saying boycott Maldives, and many people are now cancelling their trips to Maldives and looking Lakshadweep as an alternative destination to Maldives.
Fine, that's good. So, what are the limitations over there
In Lakshadweep, sir.
to make it a hot favorite destination for tourists? Limitations, which will have to be overcome.
So, firstly, the environmental issues are there, given that it's a very small area. Currently, originally there were 37 islands, but now 36 islands. Now 35 are only there. One is submerged over there. So, rising sea level is one major issue. So, secondly, the local population, there would be resistance if high amount influx of people comes. So, thirdly, we need permits to get into Lakshadweep.
Okay, Vishnu,
Yes, sir.
I intervene because you are again trying to educate me.
Sorry, sir.
When people come, visitors come, the tourists come, they need water,
Yes, sir.
fresh water.
Yes, sir.
And there is an acute shortage of fresh water over there.
Yes, sir.
How to overcome it?
So, we can have a desalination plant over there to recycle the water.
Okay, desalination plant. Why not underground water?
I think it would be given the sandy terrain. I'm not sure, sir.
It's not quality, it is something else. These are coral reefs.
Yes, sir. It would be difficult to bore.
No, these are not hard rocks. These are very soft.
Sorry, sir. I'm not aware of that. I'll
Okay.
definitely read up on it.
Because these are very soft. And
Yes, sir.
bore wells are not permitted.
Okay, sir.
It will collapse. The support structure of rocks will collapse.
Okay, sir.
Fine.
Thank you, sir.
So, from Kerala we go to economics.
Yes, sir.
Ready?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
political science, international relations.
Sir, as you wish.
Okay, sir. International relations. Kerala, coastal area.
Yes, sir.
Why is India apprehensive of China's presence in Indian Ocean? Last question.
Sir, China wants to project itself as the resident power of the Indian Ocean region and wants to offset the geographical advantage that India has. Secondly, China's presence has always
So
been
why is India apprehensive?
so because India fears that India's dominance or India's placement in the region would reduce if the Chinese come in. And also, sir.
All right, Vishnu. I will come back later.
Yes.
Please.
Vishnu.
Yes, sir.
Sugamana.
Sugavana, sir.
Very good. We met last year also, isn't it? No?
Sorry, sir.
Then I can ask you some questions that I've written for you. I was wondering whether to ask you the same questions or not. That's why I asked you, have we met last year? Okay. How many avatars of Vishnu are there?
So there are 10 avatars.
First, 6th and 10th. Tell me the names.
First and 10.
First, 6th, 10th.
The first is, sir, the Matsya avatar. So 10th is the Kalki. 6th, may I just take a moment to think?
It is connected to you. That's why I said 6th.
Sir, is it... sorry, sir, I'm not able to
Okay.
recollect.
Why is Kerala called God's own country? Tell me the mythical region.
Sir, I
You
got,
got the answer,
yes,
6th.
yes.
What is it?
Sir, it's the Vaman avatar.
Tell me, why is Kerala called God's own country? The mythical reason, historical reason, and the actual reason.
Sir, the mythical reason is the Vaman Mahabali story, whereby Lord Vaman, due to the fear that Mahabali would dominate the Asura king, would offset the Deva's advantage. Vaman came and pushed Mahabali down to the earth, to the Naraka. So the historical reason, it was, many say that it was a tagline used by the tourists to brand Kerala. And also, sir, if we look at the actual reason, one is the population density in Kerala is so high.
All three answers are wrong. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Anyways, we'll move forward. What is the commonality between the economic models of Bihar and Kerala?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the Bihar economic model, sir.
You're not aware.
Sorry, sir.
I'm asking about a commonality. No, nothing comes to mind.
Sorry, sir, I'm not
Okay.
aware.
No problem. Let's move forward then. Democracy around us is in trouble. Do you agree or disagree?
Sir, I disagree with this statement.
Okay. So you're very happy with what's happening in Pakistan.
Around, no,
You're
sorry,
very
sir.
happy with what's happening in Bangladesh.
Sir, in Pakistan, that is an issue. But in Bangladesh,
But you just said that you disagree.
sir, I thought within India. Around.
I didn't. I said around
Sorry,
us.
sir.
Hmm.
Sir, in Bangladesh, sir, it was the BNP itself which boycotted the election. So it was their fault. And the election of Awami League as the Prime Minister, Hasina as the Prime Minister, is a good news for India. So,
But you're happy.
yes, sir. In Bangladesh, I'm happy. But in
But the
Pakistan,
entire world seems to be unhappy with what's happening in Bangladesh. No free and fair election. As far as democratic values are concerned, all good.
sir, the BNP had an option to contest the election, but it was their voluntary decision to boycott the election, and they were engaged in arsonery and rioting during the election phase. So the opposition should also be responsible to ensure that democracy is
Acha. Okay, anyways, let's move forward. Your mother is a teacher.
Yes, sir.
What can you tell me about Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan?
Sir, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan has now become a Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Now it is covered till
Now
class.
in the sense, 2023?
Sir, 2022, if I'm not wrong, sir.
Okay, anyways, continue.
It was transformed to Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, and now they are trying to cover the whole school aspect.
What are the main objectives of this scheme?
So firstly is to ensure that female literacy is increased by attracting female students to the education
next.
sector. Sir, and also to through midday meal schemes, they're incentivizing students to increase the gross enrollment ratio to 100%.
You missed the main point. Anyways, my last two quick questions,
Yes.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Can you name 3 or 4 Indian origin heads of state or government?
Yes, sir. Sir, in United Kingdom, we are having
Okay,
Shri
next.
Rishi Sunak. In Ireland, sir, I'm not able to recollect the name. There is a person who is an Indian origin. Then in United States, Honorable Vice President Kamala Harris.
So the Vice President of India is head of state or head of government?
She's not the head of state.
No, but that was my question. Anyways, okay, think and answer. Last
Yes.
question. Think and answer, you'll get it right. Okay? Wear your thinking cap. There is one city in the world where usually there are 3 Indian ambassadors present. Which city is this?
So is it the Geneva?
It is Geneva. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, thanks Vishnu. We will call you after 5 minutes.
Thank
we
you,
have
sir.
internal discussion. For feedback, we will invite you again.
Thank you, sir.
So, you can go to the waiting room.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, tell us how you will assess your interview on a scale of good, very good, outstanding.
Sir, I would say good.
Good. Why it was not very good or outstanding?
Sir, I could not answer certain questions which I should have known regarding my home state, Kerala. And I gave wrong answers unexpectedly, sir. So that was also a very big mistake on my part, which I should rectify. And sir, I was also getting long answers. I was giving long answers to sir's questions, and which should not have happened. So I think I will need to work on those aspects.
Okay, yeah. Good. When is the interview?
So the dates aren't announced yet, sir.
So, time is on your side.
Good.
Yes.
So, good thing. And how many mocks you have attended?
Sir, I've attended 6 mocks. This is my 6th mock currently.
6 mock. And what is the advice given in the earlier mock?
So the one advice was to read upon my home state. It was given that foreign service is my first choice. I give my attention goes to that area only majorly, because that is also in my comfort zone.
Yes.
So
That was one. What else?
so then the length of speaking, possible try to reduce that certain areas. So just stick to the question. I'm not answering directly to the question.
But
So
you
that
are
was
you are
one.
continuing with actually both both these.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. So just let me give our feedback,
Yes.
our advice
Yes, sir.
to improve the performance. Number one is that as per our assessment, you are very good.
Thank you, sir.
You are a good material for the civil services.
Thank you, sir.
So no doubt about it. So not be very modest when you say this, I am good. You are really very good.
Thank
That is number one. Number two is that when you will appear for the interview, you will have this beard or you
No,
know
sir. I'll clean shave it.
clean shave.
Yes.
Good. Your level of confidence is very good.
Thank
The
you.
articulation is also very good.
Thank you, sir.
And you know your strong points and the weaknesses.
Yes, sir.
So you have to improve upon them.
Yes.
And time is on your side.
Yes, sir.
Your home state, Kerala as well as
Gujarat.
Gujarat. Vapi you must study. It's a highly industrialized zone.
Yes, sir.
And the problems actually related to pollution and other things.
Yes, sir.
And how actually South Gujarat is different from Saurashtra and North.
Yes, sir.
So you have to prepare for 2 states,
Yes, sir.
Kerala as well as Gujarat.
Yes, sir.
One area where we feel that you are not very, very strong, you are good, is about the schemes,
Yes,
the
sir.
several schemes of the central government.
Yes.
And the outlays. You must know the outlays also, a broad outlays.
Yes, sir.
कितना मतलब outlay होगा in the performance. If some schemes are continuing for the past several 10-15 years, then that scheme is good.
Yes.
But nobody has discontinued.
Yes.
So you should have actually good command over the schemes
Yes.
and how the policies are formulated.
Yes, sir.
What you answered was actually part of that.
Okay.
So not the entire, you see the process of policy formulation.
Yes, sir.
And there is a policy cycle. There are 6 policy cycles, right from problem identification to evaluation of the policy.
Yes.
You must go through it.
Yes.
As Madam asked about the budget, you should be prepared about the budgetary provisions.
Yes.
What kind of budget this will be, whether it will be full budget or vote on account. You know it now or
Yes.
no?
Yes, sir.
Madam hinted actually, but you didn't answer that.
Sorry.
And the economic survey before that.
Yes, sir.
But you are good, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
And you will do very well.
Thank you.
And as per our assessment, you are in.
Thank
Some of the tough questions, if you are not able to answer, it hardly matters. Say, sir, sorry, sir, I am not able to read it at this moment.
Yes, sir.
So don't be like disheartened, don't be discouraged.
Yes.
And even if suppose you have answered actually some you see, question and it is not factually correct, then you say sorry, I have made a mistake.
Yes, sir.
So be frank and honest,
Yes, sir.
and you are good.
Thank you, sir.
There is one thing that I would like to add here,
Yes, sir.
very briefly. Do not mention names exclusively. When I asked you who your advisors were or who you were working with in either Kalinga or in Raisina House, you took one name, Chintamani Mahapatra.
Yes, sir.
It could happen that somebody may be there who doesn't agree with him on many issues.
Yes.
So said maybe 2 or 3 names,
Yes, sir.
range of names. Okay,
Yes.
number one. Number two, on the USA, I mean, you are like one of our very esteemed colleagues who is now the minister. The point is that you should balance it out.
Yes, sir.
Say that we are not getting too close to the USA, we are close to the USA, but we are also close to the Russia. We are buying a lot of oil from Russia, and therefore our relationship is balanced.
Yes, sir.
That is the kind of an approach you should take.
Yes, sir.
So you need to read a bit more, be more thorough in terms of your own analysis. Okay.
Yes.
So can I add just one point?
Oh, yeah.
You have mentioned think tank again. When you were talking, you mentioned about the think tanks again and again.
Yes.
So when you are mentioning think tank and what the chair asked you, policy formulation, so the role of think tanks
Yes, ma'am.
is also opinion building, to take people in a certain direction, not forcefully, but through their thinking process. So that is what opinion leaders' job is. You see editorials in letters to the editor, those are all opinion leaders. Okay, so you can just read a little bit on that also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Do you have any doubt, any question from any of the panel member?
No, sir.
You can ask.
So the question on
Yeah, you can ask.
God's own country, what?
Vamana has an okay answer, but you can also use Parshurama for mythical.
Parshurama, yes.
Okay, his axe.
Yes.
You read up about it, you'll know more. Historical reason is Marthanda Varma gave up, all his belongings, gave up everything else, and ruled as the vassal of Lord Vishnu
Yes.
through the Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple.
Yes, sir.
And the actual reason is it's a coined phrase by the tourism department of Kerala.
Yes.
They are the ones who coined it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
Vishnu, last word. I think I have interacted with you earlier
Yes.
also. It's a personality test.
Yes, sir.
It's not about information.
Okay.
And one of the important trait of personality is how focused you are.
Yes, sir.
So when a question is asked, be focused on the question.
Yes, sir.
And your answer should be tailor-made to the question.
Yes, sir.
You should not give any irrelevant information. You are not before the interview board to educate the concerned
Yes.
board member.
Yes, sir.
It should be short, it should be to the point, it should be a smart answer.
Yes, sir.
So it's a personality trait which is being examined, which is being looked into, which is being assessed. How
Yes.
focused you are.
Yes, sir.
बेकार की बातें तो आप नहीं कर रहे हैं.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Keep it in mind. It is personality test.
Yes.
It is not test of your knowledge
Yes.
or the information that you have.
Yes, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you.